Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking into something really fascinating based on a document you shared with us.
Yeah, it describes this thing called the Unified Quantum Fractal Simulator.
Right, and our mission here is basically to explore the pretty wild mix of ideas this simulation aims to visualize. It pulls together some very different concepts.
Definitely. What struck me right away from this source material is just the sheer scope of it. It's talking about combining fractal geometry, quantum mirror ideas, logarithmic fields, and even what it calls metaphysical resonance.
And it wraps all that in a framework this source calls consciousness first.
Exactly.
And get this, the document says the whole simulation is meant to run, right in your web browser. Just JavaScript and HTML5 canvas.
Which is key, right? It makes these potentially very abstract ideas something you could actually see and interact with, according to their model at least, not just theory.
Okay, so let's dig into what the simulator actually shows based on this description. First up is the quantum mirror visualization.
The source explains this as showing particles sort of clustered at a central point and demonstrating what it calls indistinguishability through mirroring. It explicitly links this visual to quantum superposition.
You mean the idea that a particle can be in multiple states at once?
Precisely.
Yeah.
It even includes the standard notation, SES LRA plus surf, in the description, representing a state that's, part left, part right.
And what about noise?
Interestingly, the document claims that noise actually vanishes near the mirror point in this visualization.
Okay, so that's the quantum angle. But it's the quantum fractal simulator. Where do the fractals come in?
Good question. It says uses H3 spatial indices as interconnected nodes.
H3.
Yeah, think of it as a way to map surfaces, possibly curved ones, like a flexible grid system. The source says the structure is recursive and octave-based.
Meaning patterns repeat at different scales.
Kind of like musical octaves, yeah. Or classic fractals. It also mentions logarithmic coloring for energy compression. So color represents energy, but on a compressed scale.
And this isn't just a static picture, right? The source mentions dynamic field metrics.
Right, real-time data displays. The document lists things like back action noise, indistinguishability, coherence, entanglement.
So quantum concepts.
Exactly. Alongside others like octave level and log compression, which relate more to the fractal and energy side. It even shows energy quantization, EHF. Basically, it tracks the system's state according to their model.
Okay, now this next part, described as metaphysical context, seems like a major conceptual leap involving something called quantum Dicker collapse.
Yeah, this is definitely the most unique aspect presented in the source. It talks about a consciousness-driven collapse mechanism.
Consciousness.
That's the term used. According to the document, this process, which they call quantum Dicker collapse, is proposed within their model to cause harmonic resonance across the fractal structure.
Resonance. And it also mentions manifesting divine recursion, glossed as Kadar over Kadar.
It does. The source explicitly connects this idea, again, within the simulator's described framework, to consciousness, potentially, harmonizing quantum states, and maybe even minimizing measurement disturbance, the back action noise we mentioned.
So the act of conscious observation has a direct effect in this model.
That's what the source suggests. It even includes quotes right in the text to illustrate this, like, each decision is a quantum dike collapsing the universe one octave at a time.
Wow.
And it references specific verses from the Quran as part of the conceptual basis described for this simulator. It's really important we stress we're just relaying what this particular document claims is part of its simulation's framework.
Understood. And crucially, the document says you can interact with it, adjust parameters.
Yeah, things like fractal depth, quantum scale, energy fields. It's designed, apparently, so you can actively explore how these concepts interconnect, at least as this specific model presents them.
So let's circle back to you, the listener who sent this in. What does this source actually offer you?
Well, it puts forward a pretty bold, maybe even radical framework. It's an attempt, a proposed way to link hard science like quantum physics and fractals with ideas about consciousness and metaphysics.
And it's not just an essay, it's a proposed tool.
Exactly. A visual interactive concept, however unconventional its basis might seem, for how these very different fields could potentially be integrated, according to the specific viewpoint in your document.
So to wrap things up, the simulator described in your source gives a really unique perspective, suggesting a unification of quantum mechanics, fractal geometry, and consciousness in one interactive model.
Which leaves us, and you, with a final thought to maybe chew on. What does it really mean when a framework like the one described in this source proposes that fundamental scientific principles might be deeply interwoven with consciousness and metaphysical concepts? What new questions does considering such connections, even hypothetically, raise for you?